Morning everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. It's Wednesday morning. I want to say welcome indeed to all my new subscribers, and you're in for a treat because today we're going to have a little bit of fun. As you know, I like a good conspiracy theory because a lot of time there's truth behind it, and you discover the reason that there is a conspiracy theory in the first place is that the official narrative doesn't match what we actually see. So there you go. Now, my very first video, Who's Your Daddy?, tried to look at the question that's been asked for years, the exact parenting, who was the father of Prince Harry. Now, for years, it was speculated and still speculated to this day that it was Major James Hewitt. I looked at others in the running at the time to give a different little spin, and even within looking at some of the other things that could have happened, there was some very interesting events around all of that, so wow. But today, we're going to start off from that point, and at that time, I made a wee mention to, there was rumor at the time of Diana actually, amongst all the affairs that we knew about, that she had an affair with an aristocrat in Britain that nobody really talked about now. Oh, maybe a year ago, Lady C alluded to this as well, that there was an earl in Diana's history, but she didn't say who it was. She just kind of hinted at that, but she didn't name names, but she obviously knew. And as I've come to discover, the Earl in question is Henry Herbert, the 17th Earl of Pembroke. And as it seems, Diana had an affair with him in 1983. Now, it's not unusual for aristocrats for these kind of things to happen, and for really everybody kind of knowing and accepting and keeping it quiet. It's kind of the way aristocrats behave. Diana, we know she had lots of affairs, so this wouldn't be strange behavior for her. He was, an earl, an aristocrat, a titled person, someone that she would have come into contact with in social circles, certainly. So there's nothing unusual about the fact that it could have happened. I'm not saying it did. I'm saying here's another possibility, and the fact that she did have an affair with him at this time has been verified by Lady C. So that's something, because she usually knows what she's talking about. So that was in 1983. Well, Harry was born in 1984. Do the math. I don't have exact dates. Just saying, circumstantial evidence, and some of it has been corroborated by the very circles that Diana ran in, the aristocracy. And apparently, everybody kind of knew about it. Everybody kept quiet about it because, who were they to... Because this is the way they all behaved. And we'll get into it as we get in further. We'll have more examples of this that are just this is gonna blow your mind. Now, they say that Charles knew about it. And here's the thing. He was having an affair with Camilla all this time. All the aristocrats kind of behaved that way. They always had somebody on the side, but the kind of thought was, as long as you're discreet and you don't embarrass me in public, and it's fine. they just kind of accept it and carry on. And the public face is much different than the private lives. And that's been the way of the aristocracy all the time. And so Charles would have probably been happy that she was having an affair with somebody that kept her happy. And, it was less trouble for him. And because he was going to carry on with Camilla, whatever Diana thought anyway. And we know this now. Well, so, but what upset Charles and about this, and that one way you can say, well, any actions show that he knew. Was there any outward signs? Well, when Harry was born, Charles had been wanting a girl because, they had a boy, so they wanted a girl as well. Well, first of all, it was a boy, and then Charles lamented, oh, and he's got ginger hair. Now, interesting enough, Henry Herbert had ginger hair. So, there you go. Was that an outward statement of, I know what's happened? Is that what Charles is saying? We don't know. But what we do know is even Diana said herself that the minute he said that, she knew the marriage was over. There was no hope. She knew it was done. So that was a pivotal moment in their marriage. And that's another theory. We know she had an affair with this guy. We know the date she had an affair with this guy. We know the date Harry was born. Yeah, all inconsequential, but there you go. And it's very interesting that all these years later, Harry's almost 40 years old, that the palace, Charles, the reputation of his own son, think about it, Harry's had to grow up with this kind of speculation about who his father is all his life, and the palace has never put an end to it, never put out a DNA test and say, oh, come on, stop this, he's my son. No, they've let this go. Why? Maybe because Charles was that pissed off about the whole thing. Who knows? Because kind of the rule with the aristocracy, the way that they all work, whether you're royal or just like an earl or a lady or, up there, kind of if you're titled anyway. The rule was in your marriage, you have your heir that's going to, inherit the estate and whatever. You have your heir and spare, just like you do in the royal family, and you don't mess with that. You have those children with your legal spouse. After that, they kind of don't care what happens because it doesn't matter. A lot of the way these aristocrats behave, it's for like I just said, the outward show, what they project to the public. What happens behind closed doors is usually a completely other thing, and everybody knows it, and all the members of the aristocracy know it, and they just keep it quiet, right? And so here's the thing. So perhaps would Harry be the son of Diana and Henry Herbert? Just as probable as anything else, I tell ya. And now here's where I'm going to get into trouble. And a lot of you are probably going to get enraged. But hey, I talk about conspiracy theories. If you don't like it, tune out now. We're going to be talking about Diana, Princess of Wales, our beloved Diana. Luckily, she wasn't, deified when she died. It's damn close, and a lot of people, if they don't worship her, she's still beloved, even with all her flaws, and, and in a lot of cases because of them, because she was public about it, because she let us see her imperfections that endeared us to her, because even with all the crap going on in her life and all the difficulty and everything else, she still was dedicated to helping others, and that didn't waver. You know, she's not a perfect person. None of us are. None of us are. But, you know, given her circumstances, she muddled through and she tried to do good while she was at it. And I think in that she succeeded. And that's why she's still so highly regarded today. So what I'm going to say might offend all kinds of people. Oh my gosh. Well, here we go. Let's look at Diana's parents. Frances Shan Kidd, as she is known in later life after her second marriage, but Frances Spencer, and her father, Johnny Spencer, an earl. And now, both of them, during the course of the marriage, apparently her father wasn't a real nice guy, didn't treat her mother very nicely. There was some, Diana even talked about, sorry, I've got an itchy foot. Diana even talked about, as a child, seeing, you know, looking in through a crack in the door and seeing her father slap his mother. And, you know, so there was abusive kind of rows and arguments and a very unpleasant situation. They were both having affairs. Her mother and father were both having affairs. It was not a stable marriage by any means. It was, at the time, a very big society wedding, because Johnny Spencer was a big deal. You know, his father, the Earl of Althorp and all that. And when his father died, of course, he inherited. Now, in the early years, they leased a house on the estate of Sandringham. Diana's early years, she grew up on the royal estate. She interacted with the royal children. You know, so she was, the Spencers and the monarchy have been closely knit for hundreds of years. The Spencers have always been, you could say, toadies you know, they were always in service too. And that's why when Diana became engaged to Charles, you know, Johnny Spencer, her father, made that comment, like, you know, we Spencers, we've always been in service, you know, down through the centuries to the royal family, and now Diana's committing her life to the service of the royal family, you know, upon their engagement. He said that in an interview, and that's why. Now, because of her upbringing, she was titled from birth Lady Diana Spencer. Actually, before her father became an earl, I think it was Honorable Diana Spencer, something. It was a lesser title. And then when he became an earl, she became a lady. But now anyway, back to Sandringham. So she grew up in and amongst the royals and that level of aristocracy. Those are the circles that the family ran in. But even before that, their families were having affairs. And it's well documented because of the nature of the divorce trial and how Johnny Spencer won custody of the children. I mean, Frances's own mother testified against her in the trial to ensure that Johnny would remain the custodial parent, because she was very concerned about the titles. She didn't want her grandchildren to lose her title. She was very, very vain and very proud, but yeah. And plus, she may have known something. She may have known that one of the affairs that Frances had was with James Goldsmith. That's well known, that's well documented, that's all over. Nobody's ever put it together. There's been rumors, but nobody will come out and say it. But I mean, all you gotta do is look at a picture of Diana side by side with Zach Goldsmith. Relatives, brother and sister, half brother and sister. Maybe we know that Jemima was her best friend. Look at them. Look at younger pictures of them. I mean, there's a resemblance there. I'm just saying this is another conspiracy theory. This is another conspiracy theory. Now, what does it mean in the long run if Diana is actually the daughter of Jimmy Goldsmith? Not much in the long term. Even genetically, it wouldn't affect William because he's still the son of the king, right? So, and that's all you need. That's, even if Diana, in fact, wasn't titled when she met Charles, would she have been seen as would they have even crossed paths, Now, that's all neither here and there because the aristocracy doesn't matter. And, if she'd have been a divorced Catholic woman or a Catholic girl, she wouldn't have been in the running. But these kinds of issues never would have come into play. So in the big scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Because William, William doesn't have to be a Spencer. He just has to be Charles's son. Circle back to another video of mine called The Palace's Biggest Secret. Oh my. Oh my, if you put all this stuff together, you're left with a question. Who's the actual heir to the throne? It's not Harry. Charles isn't his father. Might not be William. Then who would it be? I've done another video called Who is Simon Durante Day? Could it be? Could he be the real heir to the throne? It's going to be interesting because we've just heard that from the palace that the king and queen are going to be making a trip to Australia. I did a video not too long ago regarding this when I introduced Simon to y'all. He's planning to hopefully get a little bit more press around the time that Charles and Camilla arrive in his country. Because he wants answers. He's been pursuing this for decades. He claims to be the son of Charles and Camilla, conceived when Charles was about 18 and Camilla was 19. Wow, wouldn't that throw things into the mix? And for all you guys that are into Nostradamus, personally I'm not, but this year there's been all kinds of talk about some new interpretations and saying that, somebody other than whom we expect might take the throne. It's all very interesting. Is it true? No telling. And the way the royal family hides their secrets, we'd probably never know. But it is something to think about, because when you deep dive it, there's some pretty compelling evidence. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one today. Go back and look at those other videos. My original Who's Your Daddy about Harry, Who is Simon Durante Day? Do a little bit of research. It's quite interesting. Have a great day, everybody. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I want to know what you have to say. Bye for now.